Now, getting into another article here, Patrick Henningsen wrote another story about this for Infowars.com, and he links to statements by the Iraqi government here. Now the U.S. puppet regime in Iraq is calling for a regime change in Syria. I'm no fan of Assad and what's happening in Syria, but this is now 6 months of the West trying to fund al-Qaeda groups to overthrow the secular government there. So there is literally no end to this. And why shouldn't the big multinational corporations that want the oil and want the drug routes and want the rebuilding contracts to rebuild the country, why shouldn't they use American and British and European tax money to do this? Again, all this is done in our name. We get the political blame for it. We pay for it. And then the bankers just sit up there and laugh at us. What an incredible fraud. Think about that. The UN is completely morally bankrupt. 100%. They now back invasions of countries when Western governments foment rebel forces to try to take it over. That's the excuse for air bombardments and ground forces. And then we're told this isn't war because a Nobel Peace Prize winner is leading it. Truly, we've reached the Orwellian maxim of war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. All right, I want to get to this piece before we get to this Ed Asner interview and then come back with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny for a full in-depth interview with some breaking news. I was aware of this from reading government documents, and I put the research in the film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, which I believe is my greatest work to date in 16-plus years of research and journalism and activism and commentary. I was aware of this from mentions in memoirs and government documents, but never the full image. The Daily Mail reports on recently declassified documents. But first, I'm going to play a clip from Endgame here in a moment, where what was known as the Red Empire, or the British Empire, that was the dominant force in the 1930s in the world, that the U.S. government at certain levels, including the Army and Department of War, they weren't as Orwellian then. They called it a Department of War, not a Department of Defense. They wanted to attack England and all of England's possessions around the world, in Africa, the Pacific, South America, you name it. We're talking about the Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands. They wanted to go in and just nerve gas all the Brits. Our government realized that, hey, this is the empire. We want to become the new empire, the people that run our government, to show you the elitist mindset. And they said, we want to just go ahead and attack. Here it is, War on the Red Empire, how America planned to attack on Britain in 1930s with bombing raids and chemical weapons. Details of an amazing American military plan for an attack to wipe out a major part of the British Army are today revealed for the first time. And it reports in the early 1930s, this was proposed and was the battle plan until Roosevelt came to power in 1933 and then made a deal with the British. And that's exactly what I've gleaned from deep historical research, that the Bushes, the Rockefellers, they're all on record funding Hitler. And Smedley Butler, two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner, he was in line to be the Commandant of the Marine Corps. The fascists came to him and said, you've overthrown all these countries, Guatemala. He overthrew more than 15 countries himself. They came to him and they said, we want to overthrow America. You'll be the dictator. You're going to link up with Hitler. He really likes you. And Butler said, I'm not going to do that. And went on record, we're going to play you a newsreel clip of that. And then they had the McCormick-Dickstein committee hearings. All this came out. The Bushes were about to be arrested at the start of World War II. So they started the different systems where they had Hollywood folks go, give speeches and play music for the troops so that they would be seen as patriotic. But they were the main agents, along with the Brothmans and others in North America. Just absolutely incredible information. And so, as I pointed out in Endgame, America made a decision to go with the Fabian socialist. And even though Churchill claimed he was anti-socialist, he was really backed by the Fabian socialist. And so this deal was made. And the King of England, Edward VIII, had to abdicate. He had to step down. He was in Germany when World War II started. He had to step down as the King of England because he'd supported Hitler. Of course, he was a German prince, so why wouldn't he? So this is just the incredible information that right before this happened, the United States was going to actually attack England and all of its possessions and take over the British Empire. Instead, the two merged, and America became the British Empire, and that's the New World Order. But it wasn't that they were anti-Hitler because they were anti-extermination and world government. It was that they wanted to run it and run it covertly through the vaccines and other globalist programs, as is reported in the 1948 British report on population. All right, let's go ahead and go to that clip from Endgame.
Congressional Medal of Honor winner Major General Smedley Butler went public in 1934, exposing an attempt by the robber barons to launch a military overthrow of the United States. The war hero testified to the McCormick-Dickstein Committee in Congress that some of the most powerful men in America had tried to recruit him to lead a military coup so they could set up National Socialism in the United States.
I appeared before the Congressional Committee, the highest representation of the American people, under subpoena to tell what I knew of activities which I believe might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship. I was supposed to lead an organization of 500,000 men, which would be able to take over the functions of government.
The fascist had also made deep inroads in England.
And then I go through all that evidence. This film has been out now for 4 years. And it was Brown Brother Harriman that were the main drivers. It was the Harrimans that were the main drivers, along with other elitist families, in all of this, including the Rothschilds. You'd think, why would the Rothschilds be funding Hitler and the British? That's how you take over. It's called full spectrum dominance. You fund both sides and let them kill each other and go into debt. So you're thinking black, white, up, down. You're thinking pro-Islam, anti-Islam. No. It's the clash of civilizations. It's the playing people off against each other. That's what this is really all about. And what an incredible report that's now come out. And it just verifies our deep research into these matters. This is the type of information you get with InfoWars Nightly News. A group of people dedicated to reality, not to fake left-right paradigms, scoring points and bashing Democrats or scoring points and bashing Republicans and being part of some gang psychology. We are part of the reality movement. We are all about real information. Now, I want to play a clip from a couple days ago because it's very newsworthy, of the former head of the Screen Actors Guild, award-winning actor, TV, film, you name it, Ed Asner, breaking down Building 7, the key smoking gun of the controlled demolition of 9/11. Then we're going to come back with a conclusion on in-depth report with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny on Big Pharma's desperate move. It's fleeing forward for forced inoculation. Stay with us. It's InfoWars Nightly News. What do you think the biggest smoking gun of 9/11 is?
Well, Building 7. Building 7 being brought down without having been damaged to that extent. I think that they want to make sure nobody shoots their mouth off. And if eventually they do, then they'll probably end up dead.
They made the Japanese prime minister resign. The heads of Tokyo Electric, heads rolled in Japan. Some people committed suicide over it.
Yeah.
But here they got promoted for standing down, Ed.
You know, the amazing thing about 9/11 in its totality is that this greatest country in the world, with the greatest, strongest defense in the world, had this horrendous obscenity done to them on 9/11. So we supposedly had gatekeepers, watchmen, protecting us. Why has not one single person been punished? Unless we bomb the city, we can't save it. So we've got to bring down to a level of clear understanding and begin again. And I don't know how much destruction that entails, but we need a change in this country.
What's your view on the JFK assassination?
Well, I think that there probably was some government complicity there. So Mark Lane defended Willis Carto, and he won because he was able to prove that E. Howard Hunt, and I imagine he was able to prove also that other CIA gentlemen were all over the area at the JFK assassination.